justice for all. Thank you. Conflict of interest, Sue.
None.
Celeste?
None?
Michael? And none for me. The workshop topic for today is the strategic plan, and I'm going to turn the gavel over to Celeste, at least metaphorically, over to Celeste, and take it away. And just be aware that Skylar has 6:15.
Meeting?
He has to be out of here at 6:15, so.
Okay.
I told my dog 1 hour.
So as much as we can get accomplished in an hour would be awesome.
So I printed out just a cheat sheet for us to work off of. This is just a listing of the priorities and goals that is in the full strategic plan.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be easiest for us to be able to look at this in a shortened version as we talked about it.
We'll have, if you want to put one on that desk.
And then Aaron will be here.
Yeah, Aaron will be here in just a minute or two.
Soon the SDCs are gonna fall under priority area resilience. That's how they're gonna fit.
Yeah, and so if we want to just do a quick review of it, so the serve category is all the programmatic offers for the district. And we will want to make sure that that serves the, because really what we wanted this strategic plan to be, we determined that it would be a 10-year strategic plan, which I need to change in the document because I noticed it said 5, so, but 10-year strategic plan. So all of our programmatic vision that we have for the next 10 years needs to somehow tie into the serve section. The place section should cover all of the facilities, but you'll notice that the last goal, goal 9, indicates that there is a tie-in to the master plan that SEA is doing, right? So it should be, I think we need to capture some of our big vision for facilities under the place goal, but also knowing there's going to be more comprehensive detail in the master plan. The AWARE plan is about building the brand and communications of the district to make sure that our community, that our membership knows the value that they're getting, what it means to the community, that they're aware of the offerings at the district to come play, and generally just marketing our offerings, which then ties, of course, into the resilience piece, which is really about the financial sustainability of the district. And then culture has to do with the people within the district as a workplace. So that's the general overview of things. I feel like most of the questions that I have, that I feel like that we need to cover as a group, fall mainly into the serve category, the place category, and somewhat into the resilience category. I feel like I would probably deprioritize for today's discussion the aware and culture categories, because there aren't very many outstanding questions for those two pieces. So is that enough of an overview? Any questions about the categories?
It's great.
Okay. And that what I would propose sort of in terms of how we go through today is I have this list of questions that I've been capturing. It's probably not going to be all the questions that come up, but there are questions that I don't feel comfortable finalizing the strategic plan without having some guidance both from board and staff, so from this group, and I think having some consensus decisions is really important. So the first one that I came up with is I got the first question I have has to do with the city's 2050 plan. And I got the mailing. I wasn't even aware that there was a 2050 plan. That was probably bad on me. I should have probably been more aware of it. But I got a mailing from the city announcing that the draft was available, so I went and looked it up. And in that 2050 plan, they actually talk quite a bit about things that would have to do with us. So my question for this group is, have we reviewed? Do we need to do some sort of group review of what's in the city plan? How does it need to dovetail into this strategic plan?
So, Skylar, when you looked at this, was it the same as what was online, identical, or was it different?
I think it's I think it was identical, but to be honest, I didn't compare, like, word for word. I think it's the same document, though.
Okay. Because I'm not looking at, I mean, I went to the meeting, I went to the Tuesday meeting that appeared threatening, like some changes are coming. And I asked my city councilor, can you tell me what this is about? No, it's secretive. And then you get in here and it's about this 2050.
It was a comprehensive plan, right?
Yeah, and
Why is it secretive? Do you know? That's what you're wondering.
I wondered, I went to my church, they got it, and so people from my church showed up, and then we're listening to this, going, why was this letter threatening, except maybe to get you in the building? And it wasn't like, if you don't show up, I'm gonna come get you. It was just, changes are coming,
Yeah.
so you should be aware.
Yeah.
And it was,
That's
and,
the mailing I got that prompted me to look it up.
you know, and so they had this, so I grabbed it and I gave it to Skylar, to look at. So I spoke saying, you know, I truly don't know what I'm looking at. And so the next evening at the 7 o'clock meeting for the road, the ODOT thing, people came up and talked to me about what this was trying to say. And I thought that was interesting. And then you looked at the room, and I was one of maybe 2 or 3 people that had come to the meeting. The rest were all officials. So they said, why am I getting all this lovely attention? So anyway, I still don't understand this, and evidently it'll be talked about more, at the, first Tuesday of the month, next meeting, and they'll be voting.
At the regular city council meeting.
No, this one is about at the next city council meeting is gonna be voting about the road,
Oh, okay.
the ODOT. This is gonna be voted on at the one, right.
It's coming out of the planning commission, so they meet on the first Tuesday of every month, so that'd be July 7th, I think.
Cities are required to prepare a comprehensive plan every so many years, right? So is this their continuation of the comprehensive plan? And they're calling it Seaside 2050?
We've been through this process with the city.
Yeah.
I've been going back several years, and basically what it all is about is a city's comprehensive plan is completely devoted to supporting tourism.
Supporting
and
terrorism?
it gives lip service to other things.
I figured this part was kind of an important
That's,
Park and Rec.
yeah, well, they should call it city parks because they don't have recreation, they have parks. But, they're showing an intention, but they may be putting the responsibility for certain things, a wish list. They might be pushing it in our direction, but I can tell you from my experience with what's on here, I do think community gardens ought to be mentioned in our plan, and perhaps dog parks, but the splash pads, the community splash pads, we threw those out 25 years ago because they're not feasible. And you know, as far as the park district is concerned, I would not support a splash pad. They require their own water treatment.
Huh.
So it's like you have to treat it like a pool.
So it's just
See,
And
when I
recycled
it's
water.
it's expensive.
When I thought of splash pads, I thought about what Claudia talked about, one of the previous, swim jet,
That's what I thought it was too.
and it's something that would help raise the level of the pool. And that was so incredibly expensive, that was tossed out right away.
Oh, yeah.
So back to Celeste's question about the city and their,
It's handshakes. It's, hey, what do you think about this, okay, or what do you guys want to do here? But it's not necessarily, found in a very formal way in either of our organizations.
I feel like we could address some of this, and I think it should probably be in here. We don't have it, and it probably goes under the resilience category to list a goal of, codifying or documenting formal relationships that matter to the district's sustainability, right? Like, something like that, that's what we did with the IGA, and I know the other one that I'm realizing that we're mute about currently in the strategic plan is Seaside Kids, which is an important relationship, right? Like, so I think there's a whole bunch of these kind of relationships that we should probably, indicate our importance someplace in our strategic plan.
Codify something.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is when people came up to me to talk to me about this thing,
Mhm.
at that 7 o'clock meeting about ODOT, it was, my door is open, ask any questions you have, you know, but I said, you know, I need to do my own research here to read this thing. But there was an invitation, but because, July 7th, whatever that first Tuesday, sorry, I mean, whatever, I think it is, no, 6th, July 7th is when the vote is gonna happen. And I don't know what that means, but the vote is happening.
I think the only thing that we really need, I think your answer here, Skylar, on what you said, like, I identified some of the places where there were things that I thought most spoke to what we were, and I don't think any of them are that much of a concern, except I do think we ought to indicate that we know about that.
I agree, although I'm relying off memory here, which is very dangerous thing for me to do. But didn't the SDC document say that there was a shortage of city parks? And I was wondering at the time whether they included the seaside city parks or if they were.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm not sure.
If they do list in here, they did list, there's a need for additional youth sports fields to accommodate growing participation in organized sports, supporting youth athletics, and offering more opportunities for healthy activities. So that's in the.
SEC document?
No, that's in this,
The 2050.
the 2050 plan document. In the SDC document on our project list, we talk about expansion of parks, so there's probably something in there that.
Well, I think we should just cross-reference, and we got all these documents, and I just want to make sure we're not contradicting ourselves in one of them.
Sure. Yeah, the only parks that we really called out as being on our project list for SDCs were the North 40, which I think we can talk a little bit more about, replacing or relocating the dog park that's on our property, but it has been kind of a city project. And then 2 other parks that would be in neighborhoods, one in the city, one not in the city, that are underserved, like don't have park space available to them.
So would it make sense then, like, maybe this is even under aware, because it's getting clarity about the. Brand clarity, and maybe it's even to, because this is a little bit connected to even what we were talking about, the Chisholm Center, right? Like, city owns it, we do the programming for the youth center, city owns that, we have use of it under certain conditions, you know, that,
Yeah.
but maybe part of it is to collaborate with our partners to have an inventory of recreation in this community and get role clarity so that it's clear to everybody. I mean, we even had that problem with Broadway Field where people would think it was on us, that stuff wasn't up to par, but there wasn't clarity, it was our domain. So I think having clarity for the community would be important.
And I don't think any of the documents reference the beach as a source of recreation.
I know, yeah.
Their document definitely does.
And-
Theirs does.
And we did refer to that in, I think in the strategic plan,
Yeah.
was at least in a version under, outdoor recreation, that we should be, because we could take advantage of that sometimes.
Of course.
Like, I know that we've done, are we still doing surf?
We are not.
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay, so is there general agreement that this would be an okay goal to add to the plan that, and just to summarize, that the idea there is to make sure we have well documented what the arrangements are?
Yeah.
And we'll communicate what the arrangements are?
You're saying that would fit under resilience?
I was gonna put it under, originally I thought resilience, but I actually think aware is maybe,
from our inventory of, you know, for our
Yeah.
strategic plan, master plan. I'm not sure what
But that would be a good example of something to
Yes.
cover, right?
Well, then, I must say, the other night, I went and took a picture of our dog park, before I came here. A guy let his dog out, opened the gate, and, I mean, I'm sitting parked, you know, waiting for the light to turn. And I never jump ahead, you know, so I'm sitting right across from the dog park, and this guy lets his dog out. I mean, it's like, let the dog out, let the dog in, and he stops, calls him back, puts the dog back in, and he stood there, and he just went, like, and I'm just like, thank you, because I watched you, and I don't know where he took his dog, but that dog would put probably his whole body inside there and turn around and walk, and
Each individual objective, because,
So how do we measure progress towards the goal?
so that what we do is, that once we publish this strategic plan, the next step is to create the implementation. And we have a draft to start with.
Well, we'll already have the goals and objectives.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking two different, well, maybe I'm confused about the term implementation plan.
It would be this section.
Right, yeah, and
Yeah.
I just put some,
Right, you added some metrics.
bastardized
No, it was.
metrics in there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think you know, I kind of tend to be a data guy anyway, so, you know, I want the metrics to know how we're doing, you know, and I don't think we should necessarily need to have metrics on every one of those, but some things we're gonna hold our CEO responsible
Right.
for, and those things should have metrics, you know.
Well, this is why I'm thinking, yes, and I don't feel comfortable coming up with all of those.
No.
And I think that needs to be a group effort, and I think this is a 10-year strategic plan. We may have, the implementation plan is gonna be a changing
But
document.
yeah.
Right, like it'll change over the years, and so what I'm proposing is in order to get the strategic plan over the finish line with its priority areas and goals, that we just move the implementation plan out of it for now.
Can you move it into an appendix or something?
Or just-
It's still attached to the document,
Well,
but not part of the
But then we
document?
have to finish it, that's my, I mean, it could be that we could list it as draft as in the appendix.
Well, let's just put it in a separate document.
why?
Because it's not done, like, we don't have
It's gonna
metrics,
take some time.
because I think we have some time, so like, I think we need to have like probably a whole workshop just on the implementation, probably a couple of the, like, I'll give you a good example. The implementation of the place section, I don't feel like we can do that until we get the master plan back from SEA.
Well, but these goals, they're not prioritized, so.
That's what I mean.
Looking at
That's
the sheet, they're all equal.
That's the problem.
So
is-
you wanna layer them in.
Yes, that's the conversation that still has to happen, and that will delay us getting the strategic plan done.
Couldn't we have like, the goals, metrics, the 10-year kind of metrics embedded into the document?
The
You have
goals.
it now, but then every year, like, there's more specificity provided by the board as part of like, hey, these are your goals.
Like
These
we're
are the
done?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're done. Like you look at those goals and you say, okay, for 2027, we need to hit these 8
Yeah.
things or whatever.
Like, we could do that, so like, I'm looking at, like, one of the goals for the place, let's go to the first one. So the first one is, the goal number one on the short list is improve community, physical health, mental health, and social well-being through access to diverse indoor recreation activities, or indoor recreation opportunities. So how are we gonna measure? Like, so is that?
Serve, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to the first one. So like, we could, a measure of that could simply be how many participants, like what's our door count, right?
Yeah.
Same with strengthen aquatics as a signature community asset. We could count number of users in the pool.
Yeah. Or like.
Support childcare, positive youth development, centered on private, like, so that's a number of kids or number of hours, where we provide youth programming.
And I kind of figured that we would triage these probably by time. And so we'd have some temporal scale where certain things get accomplished
Yeah,
sooner.
but that's the implementation plan,
That's
I
the
think.
implementation
Yeah.
part, but,
Is that what Skylar
What-
talked about, doing a year?
well, what I don't want to do is dump 20 goals on Skylar and say, here, this is our strategy, figure this out. And I don't think that's fair. But, I do think when we have a document like this, we can say to Skylar as part of his annual evaluation, you know, we want to measure the number of people that are making use of our services every day. And it may not even be possible. I don't know how you measure the usage right now. But I don't really have a handle on the supply side of our equation. I can understand the demand side of it more, but how do we get more people? I mean,
But that would be in the implementation plan,
Right.
like, to roll out a
How
marketing
do we get more
campaign.
people in here to play?
But that's why I want to pull the implementation plan out, because I think we have to have more time to hear
Okay.
from staff
I can live with
about,
that.
you know, is it a matter that we need more hours of availability, like on weekends, or is it that we need more marketing? or
Where's
is
the
it we need-
bottleneck? Where's the
What-
bottleneck?
yeah,
How
what-
do we need to approach it? I'm fine with that. What I don't want to do is if we pull it out, then ignore it.
Yeah,
You know, because, yay, we got the strategic plan done, and, you know, I'm really good at doing 90% of a
well,
project.
we can add that in as one of the things that we need to do is to solidify this plan with an implementation plan.
And also, we should have a timeline in there about how often we revisit the plan.
Mhm. Yeah, the monitoring, so I'll add that to monitoring.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I think I'm drinking Mike's water. and
Sorry,
I
Mike.
don't-
Note yourself, I didn't know I had a water.
That's because I took it before you had a chance.
That's okay.
Here's one.
Fairly well drink water.
Okay, so the next one is, my third question is do we need to integrate or represent SEC plans in this? It just isn't currently in the strategic plan. It
Well,
could be,
under resilience, it could have a place.
we could have a place, yeah. I have to go back and look.
But I think.
Again, I think,
Yeah,
it can be mentioned or
the goal
referenced, but I
13.
don't think it needs to be, I think, from my perspective and from everything I've heard, we want to leave that to the facilities master plan. And it is called out in there,
So we can
in the
mention.
all right way, but I think referencing it would be great.
Well, that's one of the ways we ensure the resilience of our organization.
There's a natural place, goal 13, which is to diversify revenue.
Right.
And SEC, yeah, so we can include that as goal 13. But no need to expand on it.
These important partnerships that we have that I think are really, provide a lot of support, financial support or organizational support, both ways, with the school district, the city, as you said, kids, I think those are in a category of collaboration that's more intense than some of the others, but there's a number of others. I mean, I even put the neighboring cities in there, even though it's a little bit aspirational right now, but I think in our 10-year plan, we need to capture, we need to have a goal or something that speaks to our collaboration, the county with other cities. We get a lot of support from Providence, and I think they've always been a good partner, and then like the two business associations, the Chamber and SCDA. There might be others, or maybe there's a need to even have a tier 3 for other kind of partnerships.
I have a question, considering those appropriate statements, considering the regionality of the North Coast Recreation Center, do you think it's foreseeable that we would enter into any kind of collaboration with them?
With, North County,
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, they've talked to us.
You're talking
a
about our
little
county, yeah.
bit. Yeah,
But, you know, we have, I think there's growing interest in people in Cannon Beach and the South County in going to that recreation center, so they're becoming more competitive. Well, you know, there's that old saying, you know, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. If they're gonna compete against us, maybe we should look at, you know, establishing boundaries, or, you know, what they're gonna do or what we'll do, or how the marketing will happen. You know, if that competition builds up,
Yeah.
you can forget Cannon Beach ever coming into the district.
yeah, possibly.
Because I think culturally, they're gonna go south from Encinitas, from Mahima.
Aren't we, sorry, I guess I don't know the geography, I mean, even though.
I don't know, I'm just an idea.
Aren't we like way closer?
Just a thought.
Isn't it so easy, so much easier to get?
Yeah, but if
seaside
there's
than Cannon
bad
Beach?
blood or something,
Oh,
maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know if there is.
But we didn't indicate exactly who would be annexed in, because I think there's some risk to doing that, but, and by the way, so it's 22 minutes from Cannon Beach to Nehalem and 14 minutes.
To push, really.
Third class.
Yeah, the hops are gonna jump to my doctor's office.
Funding's a little different, I'm sure.
Yeah, depending on what it is.
Day of week and time of day.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4th of July.
Okay, are you ready to move on to the next question?
Well, did we answer it? I'm still trying to
I
find
think
where
we did under
number
district.
13 showed up.
I think part of it is going into the partnership.
Right.
So your fifth question?
So the fifth question is, do we need to crosswalk the strategic plan with the SDC project list? In other words, there's a project list floating around. We have multiple projects being listed, right? We're mentioning some here. It's going to align with what's in the master plan. But the SDC has a whole entirely different project list. And
Well,
is that a problem, or maybe it's not a problem? I just don't know.
I don't think it's a problem. I think that, we mentioned in the plan that, SDCs are one method that we use to diversify revenue.
It's not in there now, so.
But it will be under,
Goal 9,
under
that's
the-
where we talked about the facilities.
the old goal 13 is to diversify revenue.
So putting something, mentioning it more specifically there, and maybe.
But the strategy part, not the strategy part is to implement SDCs.
Mhm.
The strategy part is not to decide what facilities, that's the technical part.
So does it matter that we added goal 13 would be under aware, collaborate with community partners, so
Yeah.
goal 13, which is now goal 14 of diversify
Right.
revenue, do we need to identify that as separate, or, I mean,
I think
unnecessary?
Celeste has it, it's just to mention that
SDC.
we have that, by the time this is published, SDCs may already be in place. So it might not even be,
What I didn't want to do is run into trouble that when we put SDCs into place, that the public questions the project list because that list doesn't show up in our strategic plan.
I think so long as it's included in the facilities master
through the
plan.
master plan.
Okay.
We're golden.
I'm looking at the project list.
Mhm.
The northwest entrance, is that the one way down?
It's by the developer.
Okay. Because what's not here is the conversation that multiple people had with me about looking at eliminating the front grassy part of, SRC and making that an access for buses and cars, and then them looking at the parking, which I tried to say to them, they went, oh no, that must be a PBL weekend, and it was a limited picture of where employees are parking. And I said, no, this is a standard. Drive by it any day, you're gonna see those, 15, 20 cars. And they said, no, well, we'll just make that a road and have them go out, because they won't allow the buses to take a left turn back onto Broadway. So they're gonna have this, you're gonna keep this sidewalk, make a lane that everyone can drop their children off, make a lane that the buses can, can come in from where the fire lane is, come in and you park, you do, let the kiddos off, and then you go out through the parking lot and go out that northwest, space onto the road, onto 101. And I said, that's nice that you're thinking that, but this is all parking. You're not gonna let the cars, if they have that one lane thing, how the buses aren't gonna be able to manipulate moving to a left turn to go out on Broadway. So all of a sudden, you've made our parking lot a road, and that's just its whole group of problems. And that's why we met the other day. So I think doing that egress is nice, but making that a road for the buses to go through and parents to drive through, when that's a parking lot, I think that's its own set of problems.
Yeah, I think the ideal, I feel like maybe this is part of the project list question, so I hope we're not deviating here. Maybe it would be better to pull it up. Just like the ideal scenario is for them to build us a pull-through similar to, if you've been to the old high school on the estuary side,
Yeah.
There's that pull-through, and that was pretty much just for buses and parent pickup and drop-off. And it's much bigger, like it takes you a lot longer to get something like that, where it doesn't really impact the entrance or the flow, and it would be sized for buses, but also for cars, for parents to do pickup and drop-off. There's enough grass area there and stuff, and for them to include that as part of their project cost. And that way, cars could still come and pull through there, and they could turn east on Broadway or west on Broadway, and it wouldn't impact the parking lot.
Would ODOT have to buy the right of way on our property to create that?
Well, that's a question that I asked them, but I haven't gotten clarity on how that works. I think, the only thing I understand is that for properties that are impacted by the traffic light renovation, they would provide offsetting mitigations, offsetting improvements to compensate. But I don't think they honestly understood, to your point, that the area in front of the SRC, just, on the south side there, was so important to us and to the entrance of the SRC, and that we've kind of oriented people to come in through that building, or through that entrance, and that's really the only entrance that buses can do what they need to do in a convenient way. And so we're working on our letter to the city council, and then they'll make their choice here in a couple weeks, and we're doing some behind the scenes stuff to try to make sure our voice is heard.
Isn't the vote the 22nd?
Yeah.
That's not much time.
We have the document, our position, I think our position statement, we have it in draft form. It's almost done. We had it ready almost last week, but we wanted to see how that meeting went.
Right, that was the low bill one, right? Because they pretty much said, we don't even want to look at that. That's not a good idea. So it was like they were looking at the other three.
Yeah, I don't think the city council is going to choose the low bill one. So
Right.
I think we're putting our efforts into helping them understand. And honestly, the impact of the parking are the same for all of the other three.
Well, the other thing that they didn't,
For us.
They didn't include because it's not done yet, but they've said in the next 2 months that church will be knocked down, and they declared that'll be 15 parking spaces, but it couldn't be discussed because the church is still standing.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's not parking that we can count though, and it's not parking that's, it's proximity, in proximity, I don't know. In proximity to the SRC, but it's not helpful for parents with kiddos, right? You know, carrying an infant across the street right there, that's not great. And again, we don't get it counted as part of the SRC, like when we have high parking needs.
That whole crosswalk too, it brings to mind a need for another safe crosswalk right there.
And
at
they
Lincoln.
put one in, they drew one in.
I think, just given our time, if I can, I think, because it's an important issue, but I think one of the things that I was really struggling with in this is the number of projects that are important issues for us to be doing. And I do think we need some sort of way to determine what the priorities are. And so for question 6 and 7, there's a couple things that are challenges here. So in the original document, and I'm sorry I didn't print this out, but in the original master plan, we had, if this looks familiar to you all, this facility priority list, right? And at the top of their list was provide and promote pickleball offerings, right? That would be under our serve, maybe.
Frank, why are we doing that?
But,
Old
yeah,
star.
some of it, but, so they list these things, but then they also list things like, I don't know, support and promote homeschool. I mean, right, I mean, it's just a whole bunch of, and I don't know where that came, it says / after school youth, which I know we do, and / teen development, so we do some of that, but not homeschool, and so I'm not sure like how some of this, we have multiple lists going on without a rubric to rate them.
Yeah, I have a comment. I noticed that about, saying promoting homeschooling. I don't think we're promoting homeschool.
Yeah.
I don't think we should promote homeschool. What we're doing is outreach for kids so that if they are homeschooled, they have access to our program.
Yeah.
But I think we should promote the school district.
To me, this actually sort of reeks, because that's a Florida priority, so it's sort of.
There was a lot of stuff on there, I
Copy
remember
paste.
reviewing, that it was not applicable to us, or not very specific.
But what I want to make sure is that that we're not dropping something off that ought to be
Sure.
in the strategic plan.
Well, in terms of priorities,
Mhm.
what we say in the document now is that we will support existing programs.
Yeah,
And then that was an important thing for me because that's what we heard from the community.
right, exactly.
Is they want us to make our
Yeah.
programs better rather than introduce new ones.
A whole bunch of new stuff.
And so those sorts of things, I think we can comment on. What I don't want to do is to have a project list in the strategic plan, a project list in
That's
the
right.
SDCs, a project list in the master plan.
Yeah.
But the strategic plan is just the strategy of
Right.
having
The
a
overall
project list. So I think as it relates to specific projects, we can refer them to the master plan.
I think that's right, and I think I made these questions up before, as I was doing this originally, was before we had met on the net. But I think your point is good, is that we could make sure that under place, that one of these things under place, maybe, or maybe it's a new goal under place, that we say, that we instruct that the master plan shall inform some sort of keeping of a project list, right? Like that it has some sort of decision-making attached to it. Like it could just say that we shall have a project list and a method of prioritizing.
Goal 9.
You think just include it in there?
I think, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
expand on that. I think
Okay.
we already mentioned it, and we can.
Just add it there.
And especially since it's talking about developing the script, so language.
Okay, great. I will add that. I think that's
It's
helpful.
the data one, okay.
I think it's worth mentioning how we are gonna make decisions on future proposals.
Well, we
I
can
mean,
say in the strategic
facilities.
plan that we'll develop, like, it can be a plan for a plan, right? Like, that part of our strategic plan calls for us to actually have a methodology to prioritize, bid out, like, all the pieces to project management. How do we prioritize, how do we?
Well, I'm thinking even more satellite view than that is, like, when we have a list of projects, how do we determine which one is most important?
Yeah, that's the methodology.
So, maybe it's based on the number of people served. Maybe it's based on, the amount of staff time and investment that it would take to do, you know, Skylar probably has.
Availability of funders, right?
Right.
If we had a funder come in and say, we'll give you $35 million
If you replace your pool.
Right, exactly, and then we're like, cool, okay. That would move it up the priority list,
Mhm.
right?
But we all make decisions ever so slightly differently.
Yeah.
When we're prioritizing, and I think it would be valuable if the board came together and said, this is how we're gonna decide.
I think so too, yeah. I think it should be staff
Well,
too, right, like a work group like this to come up with that methodology of how we prioritize.
For the purposes of putting it in the plan?
I think we just say in the plan that part of our plan is to develop a methodology for prioritizing the project.
But I think that's really useful information.
Yeah,
But it shouldn't be buried in a staff worksheet somewhere. It should be out there facing the public. When a new project comes along, this is how we're gonna evaluate it.
well, so is it also covered under AWARE then?
So we have 10 minutes.
I think it should go under serve.
Well, it takes into consideration our SERV goals, right?
Or how about culture?
I mean, it's sort of a combo of all the parts, right?
Does culture, in your mind, does it include how the board and staff interact? Because I think it might have a great place there because it really is.
Well, we should probably have a leadership goal, and we don't have one at all.
Yeah, I think to Kyle's point, what the plan that we've followed before, the process that we've followed before is that staff have a priority list or a project list, and we bring it to the board, either at the budget committee or at the board meeting. We say, this is what we think we should do, and almost always the board says, okay, that sounds great. But it seems like maybe a better plan would be to have a more transparent and open discussion about what we all think individually, and then come up with for the next 3 years, this is what we're gonna focus on, these 2 or 3 projects.
So is that based on understanding this document? Because I just got this, but I mean, and,
Well, you got it. It was distributed twice before, too.
well, I mean, I read something, I commented on it, but so I kind of feel like I'm lost here.
You're not lost, I think you're great. We're talking about, priority area culture and looking
Right.
at 17, 18, 19, those goals, and maybe adding a goal in there that sort of talks about the dynamic, the relationship, I mean, it's really
Rules and processes for
Yeah.
leadership.
It's really helping the board have clarity on what their, level of decision-making
Yeah.
is on this decision alone.
But it also should inform staff,
Yeah.
that if you're gonna bring a proposal forward, these are the criteria by which it's gonna be evaluated.
Yeah,
And I think that makes it a lot easier for staff.
yeah, I like it a lot. It also, provides clarity about how decisions are made, who has what roles, what the collaboration looks like, right? That it's not, because that has been a problem. I think it was a problem even with this board before, where you might have just one individual board member giving instruction to staff about what they're supposed to. And we've decided not to operate that way as a board, and I think we want to memorialize that in this plan. Like, this would be a good place to memorialize that, to make that clear.
So, question, the new 13,
Mm-hmm.
can part of that or all of that go into goal 5?
Which is what is it?
Leverage partnership.
The new
Oh, the
13
new
is
13?
about like having a goal about working with our partners, which is
I
kind of
think
what.
it's different in that, because it's about making sure that it's clear to the community, which is what the AWARE is about. It's more of a communication role, making it clear to the community who's responsible.
Programs.
So
Yeah.
there's really two.
It's two different things. I think they actually, we might mention it here also, that we also make clear to the community, the board staff relationship, like,
And the partnerships.
and the partnerships, yeah. But I do think there's two separate things.
Okay.
Because one's about external facing, and what we're talking about in this leadership, decision-making process is about our internal culture and how we work internally.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep our number of goals
Yeah.
to under
It puts us
20
at
or 20 or
21.
under. 20 would be
Yeah,
great.
it puts us at 21.
I don't want to go to 21 if we can. I mean, really, I would prefer to have 7 plus or minus 2, somewhere between 5.
I can read back through and see if there's a couple that make sense to combine.
Okay.
But I think both of these things that we're talking about, to me, they feel like good fits to actually include.
Okay.
Well, I just want to comment that I often hear when I show up at different events, we're glad someone from the board is here. So I hear that from staff and from the patrons, so we're invited,
Yeah.
and
I think that goes with goal 10. I could actually
That's
say
really
something else about
very
that.
kind.
In goal 10, I could add something about that too. Sue is like representation under,
I mean, it's welcome.
yeah. I think the Bob question is now actually covered, well, maybe not. The question is, what do we do about the Bob? Because we had that conversation about the Bob, at one of our board meetings.
Last meeting, yeah.
Last meeting. And,
We might have another conversation, because we will be reviewing the, mill site, contract at the meeting in a couple weeks. So,
but maybe this is covered under that documentation idea of partnerships.
sure, yeah, I think so.
Do we do employee awards for volunteers?
We haven't, but, maybe we should start.
I'm not suggesting it, I'm just saying that these poor people, they don't even get a paycheck, and we don't recognize them.
Yeah, like, the mail site, volunteers, they get, Chris has kind of a little cool recognition program that he does with them.
Oh,
But I think, to your point, it's a good one. Our neighbors to the north they're doing this cool thing where they have an employee of the month and then a volunteer of the month, and they call those people out.
We could add that under
Social media,
culture,
so,
under goal 18, it says foster a workplace culture where staff, we could add and volunteers.
Yeah.
Valued and supported.
kind of cool.
yeah, it feels like our volunteers are never in front of
Yeah.
the board, you know, it's always.
Okay.
I mean, do you foresee with if we actually have the certificate of occupancy in hand, and if that is happening in August, where does that overlap with the contract for this site for Meals on Wheels? I mean, are we in a position that we're gonna get it done like in September? And, I mean, I'm looking at how long do we use this facility versus
Sure.
move over there?
Well, if you're just asking me, I'm just one person's opinion, I don't think that it's feasible to move the senior meals program to the SRC. I think that there are constraints on the kitchen space that would make it less than ideal. And I think that we're using the cafeteria and the kitchen for, our youth programs lunches, like for preschool kiddos lunches. And in the summer, it's heavily used by the school district as the, spot for community lunches or free school lunch program. I think there's also challenges with access, that the cafeteria is maybe not in the most inaccessible spot in the building, but it's certainly not very accessible. It's not near any of the parking lots, and we don't have a lot of good parking, especially if the west or the south entrance goes away. So I think the way that I've sort of envisioned the SRC being activated was that it would be the home for the district, the majority, if not all of the district's recreation and like active programs, and the Bob Chisholm would still be the host for programs that maybe are a little more passive, for senior programs, things like bridge, things like chair yoga, maybe things like rental groups, the ukulele group, things like that. And whether that means that the district is the manager of those programs, I think is up for discussion. But I can confidently say that the city is not interested in taking over management of the Bob Chisholm. I think they really value the partnership that we have.
But they don't have to put much effort into.
Yeah, but they are compensating us for
Right.
providing
Yeah.
space and then for having this be a truly, I think, a really great community center that's open and available for lots of different things.
I'm curious about the ukulele.
Grab your instrument and
I'd
come
like
play.
to learn how to play that.
You are invited.
I have
That's
one.
just my opinion.
Celeste, does
Yep.
that answer your question?
I think
on
my
the bottom?
questions are all answered, so anybody else that has questions about anything or concerns or,
Well, from the board perspective, I want to make sure that the board gives clear strategic priorities to the community, to staff, to our neighbors, and to our potential funders.
Only question that I have, and I was emailing a little bit with Sid today, is what are the next steps for re-engaging them? We had a meeting
Nice.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess. Maybe it was longer than that though. And he was just asking what are the next steps. So I guess I'm not sure if that part of, if the master plan is kind of paused right now until we complete this, or if they are gonna continue sort of moving concurrently, but on.
I can check in with him. I thought he was gonna start moving ahead concurrently based on what we talked about.
Okay.
I can forward notes though.
Maybe I will reply to his email and I'll just copy you on it and see.
Yeah,
Because I think ideally that both of these would move forward together and we'd be ready to adopt.
Yeah, we're landing on parallel runways.
well, I actually think this is gonna be done, like, with
Sooner.
answering these questions, I think that we can have a draft that's ready for, like, fairly final review.
Were my comments?
Yeah,
they
super
make
helpful,
sense?
they all make sense,
Okay.
yeah, and they led to some of the questions here, so I think it's great. So I think my next step would be to take all of these, revise this document, and then circulate a
Draft 3.
draft 3 to everybody, and that's where we would start doing more of the fine-tuned grammatical errors and making sure.
Make sure you put draft 3 on the cover page so we don't get confused between the.
Yep,
the
I will do
draft.
that, I'm doing it right now.
And I am a great one for being confused easily, so.
Yeah. I will do it.
And then when that draft comes out, what kind of turnaround time you want on that? Couple weeks?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
And then what's the date when we can cut the ribbon on this thing?
Well, what I would say is, so that draft will also go to SEA,
Uh-huh.
and so then we'll just collect all those back and then turn it back. So I think we could be done within 60 days and have it published, maybe.
So call it by September 1st.
Boy,
August.
occupancy too?
Yeah, I think we're gonna
14th.
want it on an
Be a
agenda
party.
for the board to adopt it, right, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we don't have to have a reading before we adopt it, but I think we should have it on the agenda for the board to discuss and then adopt it at the following meeting, so the public has time to hear what we have to say. And I think we should be open
so
to public comments.
this is a good point, is that if maybe we want a public draft version, right, that goes out to the public, similar to how they're doing it for the 2050.
Sure.
And that they have a comment period, so maybe the public draft version is out in September, but we give the public time to.
And I think you should give yourself enough wiggle room to add, if the public probably has some really good ideas. Let's
Yeah.
make sure we have
I'm
time to
gonna add-
update it. Based
So I'm gonna do a timeline of publication, a finalization timeline
I can't try.
on that. Okay.
Do we have a group of public, like we have our budget committee, do we have a group of public, stakeholders that we might want to identify before we get 300 suggestions from, you know, really smart people?
We do, yeah, they were engaged with us when we started the master plan process. We had a steering committee, I think we called it, and it's been quite a while. I think when we got the first draft of that document, we sent it out to them and got good feedback, but that was probably almost 2 years ago. So I think we could re-engage that group and provide an update and then send them these 2 documents for feedback. We can publish, I think we can, I mean, we've shared the draft, it's been in the board packet at least a few times since we kind of started this. And we could kind of continue doing that. And I know it's not getting as many eyeballs as we
Yeah.
probably would like it to get, but we're definitely not, I think, hiding it. I mean, the way that we're doing
No.
these workshops, it's like, it's pretty out there, but we could do more to get feedback. It's just, do we want to open up? I think the feedback is better for us if it's a little more those who are informed, those, like our key stakeholders and those who can really.
I would think having an actual meeting with Seaside School District as a key partner, or the city,
Oh, okay.
as the city council, like, and it actually then soliciting, like, delivering a copy, having a sit-down meeting with them, explaining why we did this, and having some, just because they're named in it, it's kind of
Sure.
what I would have liked to see the 2050,
Yeah.
the same thing back to, like, if you're named in our plan, it seems like we ought to
Sure.
have a discussion.
Wonder if they think that they kind of did that, like they checked that box by inviting us to participate on the committee.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe, yeah. And we did invite people to participate when we
Yeah.
did ours, but it's been a couple of years
Yeah.
since we did all those.
Do we have those names?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do.
Send them all out of electronic copy.
Yeah.
This is what your
Yeah.
input produced.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for all your work, Sue.
Thanks everybody for being willing to come back for a workshop. Makes me feel better to have, make sure people have seen it and.
And I think staff plays a really important role here. You need to cry foul if we get off track.
Did you get input from Darren or Savannah or?
Very, very little. Catherine, no, didn't get any from Catherine or Darren, and, no, not any really from Savannah either. So, we're okay. We'll continue to work on this site.
And Darren was in the meetings when we
Yeah.
did the last round, but I do think it's important if staff have anything that's like being left out or not, that we're not talking about, that.
Well, once Skylar leaves, you can talk freely.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Well, first we have to go through board comment.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Sue, board comment.
My board comment is very brief. I am noticing people crossing in the crosswalk, employees that, with children, that aren't pushing that yellow button, and so cars are driving up, not realize, like, I mean, it's just that, Catherine fought so hard to get us that. I wish we would, I think we who are employees, we do, I mean, I make sure I go push the button and go across, even though I don't necessarily want to, but I think the more we're the example, the more the public will follow. And I'm seeing people cross, and then it's just like normal, you know, oh, there's somebody in the crosswalk, I didn't see him. And so I hope, I mean, I'm seeing that just in the last week. The dog park, you know, it really is kind of an eyesore. And so I hope that we can look forward to getting the city engaged to make something better for our patrons. And I am very grateful for the group of people that came out and spoke at our last board meeting. And Mary Blake's birthday's Friday, so say happy birthday to
Send her a
her.
card.
I just want to thank the board and staff for being willing to come in for another workshop so that we have some consensus on things, so thank you.
Yes, Sue, I noticed similar things about the crosswalk. I noticed that the crosswalks on the highway, people are clip cornering, they're taking 45, they're starting to cross the street before the crosswalk, and they jaywalk into the crosswalk without going by the button. And I saw 2 people on the way to this meeting today jaywalk to get into the crosswalk and then jaunted across the highway without any flashing lights. But people can see those signs and they know there's a crosswalk there, and they should be prepared to stop.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree with you. There's, but I parked out there and I've watched. We have a lot of people speeding through here. And thank you, Celeste, for doing this, and Kyle. I had a busy week with my granddaughter visiting. She's 20 years old. She used our pool, loved it, used the fitness center, lifted weights, and had surfing lessons on the beach. So that was the highlight of the week. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Mike. Last couple of weeks ago, I attended my granddaughter's graduation, you know, outside of Denver. And all it takes is to have a 17-year-old do well in high school to remind me what a slacker I was. I didn't accomplish anything in high school, and I watched this kid. Thank you, Celeste. Mike, I can't take credit for any of this. This is all Celeste stuff. I'm really interested in landing this plane and getting some celestial direction because it seems like it's been hard to get all of our heads bobbing in the same direction, and I'm really thankful that Celeste has agreed to take this on. So thank you all, and staff. You know, this isn't normally part of your job, but this is kind of how sausage is made, really. It's not very fun, but we really appreciate you being here to take part in this, so thank you. Not you, I would say that. So that's all I have. Are there any comments or questions to the board? Speak now, or forever hold your walk.
I do want to just, I don't know if Skylar sent out a special invite or not, but our preschool graduation was on Friday at 6 o'clock and
PM?
6 o'clock p.m. at the SRC in the cafeteria, and it's always just a really heartwarming.
Do we have to wear robes?
No, well, the kiddos do, but our team this year, we're going with a Hawaiian luau theme, so it's just always a really fun time and just awesome time to celebrate what our kiddos have accomplished and our staff, and so anybody would like to come.
How many preschoolers do you have?
So we have 21 total between our 2 classes. We have 10 that are moving on to kindergarten, and the rest that are bumping up to the next classroom, so it's going to be fun.
Thank you, that is awesome. All right, if there's nothing